Hello YouTube, welcome to the second video on the Land Rover Discovery 2 V8 engine rebuild. In this video I'm going to introduce Mrs. Loz.
Hello YouTube, I'm Loz's better half and I'm basically bankrolling this crazy project. I thought I'd pop in a few of these Discovery videos as I'm planning on being much more involved in the videos to come. In this video we are going to see Loz's mood drop as he realises the mountain of work ahead, and we are going to find all the problems hidden in this 4-litre V8 engine. At the end of the video we will do a quick summary of all the work required.
Hello folks, you join me again. It's about a week later now and I've been considering my options, and I've done quite a bit of reading about this engine now, and I was rather naive to the cylinder liner problem of these V8 engines. Apparently the very late ones, just like this, they're more or less all going to go at some point. It seems like more than 2/3 of them have failed already, and I think this is probably one of them. The next thing is to keep digging. The engine's out. Next thing is to strip it down. I think unfortunately I've got to take the Series 3 Land Rover engine off the engine stand, which is going to make stripping the V8 a lot easier if I can have the engine stand, so that's pretty annoying having just put it there, but it'll probably be a while before I get onto that engine. So now I've got to find somewhere on the floor safely to put the V8, then I can take the 4-cylinder off, then I can put the V8 on and crack on with the work. Right, here it is folks, the Land Rover Series 3 engine is now on the floor and the V8 is now on the stand. It took about 40 minutes of faffing around. That's ready to strip now, so the heads will come off and the top bits and the fronty bits, and then I can get the crank out and the pistons. So I have read lots about liner slippage now, and I'm beginning to think that this is what this engine has, that issue. So I took a head off and had a look at a head gasket, and that looked pretty bad. I'll show you in a second. And also took a big end cap off while it was in the car, and that also looked in very bad shape. So I've taken the engine out, and here we go, I'll show you. Here we go, you can see I've got the engine out. Here's the head gasket. So this led me to believe that we do have that liner problem. You can see the firing is completely missing here. It's been eroded away or burned away. So the failure mode being that the liner slides up and down the bore and hits the gasket. Sort of, what's the word? Well, eroding it away basically, but actually there's bits where it looks like it might have hit it, but it hasn't made imprints all the way around. So there we go, sorry. It's very hard to know, to be honest. So I'm doing a few little things, but I've had the crankshaft apart and that one is shot. So I'm now pretty certain, I can show you now, this is a little bit hard to show on camera, but there's actually an appreciable, of course it wobbles like this, but there's an appreciable slop forward and backwards. It's hard to show on camera, but you can certainly feel it. On that journal there, it's very badly worn, so the bearing and actually that journal is shagged. The rest of this would be alright with a polish, but that one is needs a regrind. So I'm fairly convinced that was the noise, actually, the knocking noise was the crank and not the liners. And I've heard the liners described more as a tap, so after much discussion with friends, people who know about this sort of thing, I'm going, at the moment, my thinking is to keep this block, not put top hat liners in it, rebuild the rest of the engine, regrinding the crank and so on, and putting it back in. But before I do that, and before I definitely don't put top hats in, I'm going to pressure test it. So the failure mode normally is a crack about here in the cylinder wall, not this cylinder wall, sorry, the aluminium cylinder wall behind it. Normally at the base of these, one or two of these head gasket bolt holes, and then it just frees its grip on the liner a little bit, and it's badly machined and blah blah blah. There's so much you can read about this, and then they start moving. So one of the things you can do is pressure test it. So I've been making a few little bits, just drilling holes in things and making parts that will fit. So I've just got to do a little angle grinding on these. You can see from the blue, sorry, the green mark on there, look, that's what I need to angle grind away. But that's going to go on there, and with just a bit of instant gasket, and seal up that water gallery. And then I've got another one over here which will go, so I'm going to grind that flat, that weld will come off there, but that's just going to go on there and I'll bolt that down, and that's going to cover up that water gallery. And that's it for the deck face. It's a pretty simple engine in that respect. And on the front here I've been making a bigger one. Here we go. So this is the front one. It has all the bolt holes that line up. And I've been putting in these bolt-in Schrader valves that came out of my alloy wheels when I bought them years ago. So there's I can just pump it up. So this, you'll see what to fit on there. All the bolts are in there, but you get the idea. It goes on there like so. So instant gasket on there too, and I'm actually not far from being able to test this now. But here goes, guys. This one's blanked off. You can see the sealer there oozing out, and I've cleaned it off this side. This one's blanked off. Bit of a budgery on this edge, but it doesn't really matter. The hole's very much closer to this one, so that's all good. And then the front plate's done, blanked off with 2 Schrader valves. So I tested this side. I checked with soapy water, no bubbles. I left it overnight. It did 10 hours, and the pressure was exactly the same as I left it. So I think that's pretty conclusive that there's no cracks. This side, I pressurised to 30 psi 8 hours ago. So this is it now. Last kind of check.
Loz was going to film the pressure check, but after fumbling around with the camera, he discovered he didn't have enough hands to hold the camera and the pressure gauge at the same time. Needless to say, the right-hand side coolant jackets held the pressure.
So to wrap this up, let's conclude what we found. It turns out this is a Land Rover replacement engine already, so this vehicle's probably already suffered from liner slip, and this is a service engine replacement. So I did, for a period of time, think this might have been a liner slip issue, but I firmly believe it's not the case now. I've pressure tested the block, all the liners are seated against the bottom, and the noise is definitely the crankshaft. So the 3 problems we have, and hopefully not liner slip, are the head gasket issue. Obviously I'm replacing head gaskets, but this damage here was either caused by, or it caused, damage to the surfaces of the head and the block. So the heads and the block will all need resurfacing. That's one thing to do. Obviously new head gaskets fitting. We've already got this, you've seen in the last video, but a new camshaft needs fitting because this one is totally toast. And then the third sort of major thing is the crankshaft and the failure which made itself known, and the reason we tucked into this engine. Somebody had the pan off, the oil sump off, and replaced it using a lot of silicon sealer. That silicon sealer went into the sump and it blocked up the oil pickup pipe. So it looks like this engine suffered from low oil pressure for a period of time. That's what caused the big end failure. That's what made the noise and what got us into the engine. So the crankshaft will need a regrind. It's not something I can do. It's something we'll send off to a workshop. So that is the 3 things we've got to fix. So I'm going to hand over to Mrs. Loz now to wrap things up.
Thanks for watching. We hope you're enjoying these videos on the Discovery V8. Tune in soon to part 3, where we stop finding problems and actually start to solve some of them.